Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Eric Johansson, a teacher with LSAT Demon. With me is Nathan Fox, co-founder of LSATdemon.com and the weekly podcast Thinking LSAT. Today, a quick email from Q.
Hi, Demon Daily. I find myself having difficulty with predicting answers on RC questions as I find the questions to be worded very broadly. I'm just not sure how to properly approach them. Got any advice I could use to tackle them?
Some of the questions in reading comprehension can be worded broadly. For instance, which one of the following would the author be most likely to agree with?
Yeah, sure. No way you can make a prediction there other than, well, the main point was this. Why did they think that? Oh, well, they had these couple things that they mainly used to support that idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what would the author agree with? Well, what did the author say? And so, yeah, I would just keep the main point in mind and dive into the answers, I think.
Yeah, I think that is the number one thing on RC is just remember the main point. Over and over again, these questions are just main point questions in disguise.
Yeah. They're not lying about what they're testing you on, are they? I mean, it's called reading comprehension. And I think another main point to remember is that, in addition to keeping the main point in mind, another main point about RC to keep in mind is that they're really almost always just asking you, what did it say in the passage?
Mm-hmm.
They have a whole bunch of different flavors of what did it say in the passage? What was the main point of the passage? What was the author's attitude in the passage? What was the author's tone in the passage? Why did the author say XYZ? Well, it was to support their main point. What was the main point? Right? They're just kind of asking you, like, did you get it? Did you comprehend the passage? They do sometimes ask like more detail-oriented questions. So, the author would be most likely to agree with which one of the following about XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what did the author say about XYZ? And then basically try to root your answer in what they said about XYZ.
Yeah, those, what do they think about this questions are the ones that I think many students believe to be far more open-ended than they actually are. When if you just take a moment to think, well, what did they say about that one thing?
Yeah.
You realize, wait, that was only one sentence. So the answer must be that one sentence.
Yeah, it could have been like how that one sentence related to the one sentence right before it or the one sentence right after it or how it related to the main point, but it really is like it's not as speculative, it's not as open-ended as you think it is. 26 out of 27 questions in a typical section of reading comprehension are going to be some variety of a must be true, and it says it right in the name. They're testing your reading comprehension. They're not testing your ability to speculate. They don't want you getting inside the author's head and like putting words in their mouth and saying what they're going to say next. They want you to choose answers that are firmly rooted in what they actually already said. So again, not reading between the lines, but reading the lines themselves and really just choosing answers that you feel like you have solid evidentiary support for. I don't even really notice different question types on RC. Do you?
Maybe after the fact when I'm reviewing them, or if I'm talking about them in class. I think if I sat down and did a time section of RC, I wouldn't really notice them. But if I'm going into detail explaining them for a class, then like in class the other night, I think I was beginning a question. And then after I'd already read the question and was about to start the answer choices, I was like, oh, wait, hold up. Let me talk about this one other thing. Which was really just, now that I'm thinking about it, this question type asked me what was the purpose of this particular sentence or what was the purpose of this paragraph. And I just realized when I do that, I usually just predict a verb, nothing more than one word, a verb, because that's how the answers are on that question type will start. It will be, did it explain? Did it argue? Did it refute? So
yeah, sure.
Sometimes those one verb predictions can be good. And that is like a question type specific thing, but it's a pretty small detail. On the whole, it's just the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. What they're always gonna ask you what the main point was. They're gonna ask you what the author's attitude was, which is like, well, their attitude was they wanted to prove their main point. What was their main point? They're going to ask you for the tone, or it's all, to me, it's all just like half of the questions are basically just main point questions in disguise.
Hmm.
And then even the detail questions are just like, well, okay, in context, what did they say about this? Okay, well, how did that relate to their main point? What was it that they were really trying to prove? I'm not picking answers that are like going against the main point unless they're asking me specifically about, someone else's perspective or something like that.
Or if it's a weekend question.
Or if it's a weekend question, which
Yeah,
again, 1 out of 27 questions maybe is
very
going to
rare.
be a weekend question. Almost all the questions are just going to be some flavor of must be trues.
Yeah.
Um, Thoroughly review all of your mistakes, Q. When you look at your mistakes, you should realize, oh, yeah, that answer is wrong because it either misstates the passage or it just wasn't stated in the passage. And the right answer that you did not choose is correct because that's what it said.
Hmm.
Anything more for Q?
No, thanks for writing in. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.